Hello, Father. I have a question that I've been given no definite answer to. Do we as Catholics have to abstain from eating flesh on Fridays throughout the year, or is that just Lent? I'm over 70 but in good health, so I just abstain, but is it a requirement any longer?
It's so interesting because the current Code of Canon Law, the 1983 Code of Canon Law, which we're all under in the Latin Rite, still says, one of the canons is that all Fridays of the year are days of penance, and all Catholics are to abstain from meat. People think this was gotten rid of in the 60s, but in fact, it still is in the current Code of Canon Law. Now, what changed is that the next canon says that the local bishops' conference can substitute another penance for the abstinence from meat. And in fact, in the United States, that happened back in about, I think, 1968. The U.S. bishops said that in the U.S., Catholics could fulfill that obligation by doing any penance, they said. They didn't say specifically what had to be done, but they gave some examples like visiting a sick person, praying a rosary, helping somebody in need, saying some other prayers. So traditionally, of course, you could only abstain from meat to fulfill it. And so I tell people that's what I recommend. And in some parts of the world, that still is what is the requirement for everybody. But nowadays, there's no excuse for offending God by not doing anything on Friday, because at least in the U.S., the bishop said you can do any penance. Well, then people say, well, what penance should I do? I said, well, I think you should do a penance that would be equally difficult from not eating meat. For some people, I guess, not eating meat, if they're vegetarians, it's nothing. So, but now that they can actually choose something else. For me, I do find it actually annoying on Friday, because usually on Friday is about the only day of the week when I'm craving meat. I think the devil gets in there, and stirs things up a little bit. Mm-hmm. But yes, in the U.S., that it still is. That I should say in the church, it still is in canon law, and most people really have never heard this.
Is Meg from New Hampshire. Meg, hello. You're on with Father Brancich. What is your question?
Hello. Thank you for doing this session, Father Brancich. My question is, on Sundays, I've heard that you should not make rosaries. Why would rosary making be prohibited on Sundays?
Thank you, Meg. Part of a bigger question, which is the whole thing of why would anything be prohibited on Sunday? Well, it actually goes back to the Ten Commandments, and the third commandment of God is to keep holy the Sabbath. And the church has been given the authority by Christ to interpret for us how nowadays we fulfill those commandments of God. For instance, the third commandment, keep holy the Sabbath. Sabbath means Saturday, and that used to be the Lord's Day, but after Christ rose from the dead, now Sunday is the Lord's Day. And so the church has early on in the earliest days of the church told us now we fulfill that commandment by making Sunday holy. And as Catholics, we're bound to do two things. We're bound to attend Mass on Sunday, and we're bound to abstain from unnecessary servile work. And God, that goes back to God resting on the seventh day when he created the world. He created the world to basically work 6 days and to rest on the seventh day, to make that his day, to praise him, to spend time with him, to relax, so that we also get refreshed. God takes care of us. And even in the Old Testament, he gave the Israelites many laws to help them know how to live and physically and spiritually and mentally, but that carries over. That the day is a day of rest. So doing unnecessary work that is servile, that servile work is work that is done for another purpose as opposed to being done for its own sake. So works that are done for their own sake, like painting or music or studying or kind of intellectual works, reading, those kind of things, those are fine. It's the things like mowing the lawn and painting the house and cleaning the garage, those things, they're done to serve another purpose. That's the things that we have to abstain for on Sunday. So Meg, things that are done for the worship of God are always permitted on Sunday. But I think in the case of making rosaries on Sunday, if you're talking about, let's say, making rosaries for business or making rosaries, to make money, or even, I guess, if you were spending a good portion of the day making rosaries to send to the missions, you're kind of serving another purpose there, whereas you really should on Sunday, it'd be better to pray the rosary, I think, than make rosaries. So I guess that's how I would answer that. I haven't heard of too many people that wanted to spend Sunday making rosaries, but I suppose it's possible.